Hey, so today we're going to try Crystallum Chardonnay from the 2020 vintage, and this comes from the Western Cape of South Africa. So if you're not familiar with South African wines, they probably have a reputation for being more sort of inexpensive supermarket wines, but that's certainly not the case with this wine. So these wines are much more of the premium end, which is not necessarily what people go for South Africa. But South Africa is capable of making like totally world-class wines, and this producer is in that sort of high category. Chardonnay is probably almost certainly a grape that you've heard of. Wherever someone can grow grapes, there is normally someone trying to grow Chardonnay, and the reason for that is that Chardonnay can be successfully grown in both cooler and warmer climates, and it tends to look a bit different depending on how cool or warm the climate is in which it's grown. I probably could have worded that better, but anyways. In cooler climates, Chardonnay will often be very sort of like citrusy, very lemon-limey, light in alcohol, really high in acid, and the classic example of that would be the wines of Chablis. On the other hand, you can grow Chardonnay in warmer climates, such as, say, California or Australia, and then you'll be getting more of those like tropical big fruit characters such as like pineapple and peach. So there's definitely like a spectrum of fruit characters that Chardonnay can have. With that said, let's try this. Cool. So this definitely falls into like that more warmer climate style. So you'll get a little bit of peach, some pineapple. There's some apple character there, but rather than being, say, that sort of crisp green Granny Smith apple, it's more of your sort of like golden delicious apple. There's also like a bit of oak and butter on the nose. So I would describe this as a more sort of like tropical Chardonnay with like a lick of oak, a little bit of butter. But it's nicely handled. It's well balanced. So that wine's actually pretty delicious, albeit it's not doing anything like fancy or weird. It's not trying to be anything that it's not. This is not a wine which is doing anything adventurous. It's merely aiming for like classic quality, and if that's what they're going for, they've done a really good job of it. It's a classic wine. I would certainly be happy recommending this to anyone who is looking for, say, a Chardonnay from Margaret River, a Chardonnay from California, even a Chardonnay from Burgundy perhaps. I'd be like, you know what, you'll dig this. I will say, just importantly though, it does have like really, really nice acidity. So Chardonnays that come from warmer places, as this one probably has, do have a tendency sometimes to be a bit sort of like a bit chunky, a bit flabby, which is a wanky way of saying that they lack acidity. This wine does not. So this wine has like a really like refreshing finish to it. So even though it's got sort of like plenty of fruit weight, this is still a wine which you could, happily smash a bottle of. So yeah, Crystallum Chardonnay from South Africa. Does what it says on the tin. Classic stuff. Not going to change your life, but bloody good classic Chardonnay.